What the heck does that even mean, a personal statement? I want to go over what a personal statement is and help you know kind of how to approach it. What is up, medical family? Zach here with Dr. Eyeball MD. Good to have you back. If you're new to the channel, I'm a second-year ophthalmology resident, so I've written a lot of personal statements, more than I would care to have written. For medical school, for residency, for fellowships, I've written a lot of personal statements. I've written multiple drafts of personal statements. It just kind of got me thinking that maybe some of you guys who are in the position where you're having to write a personal statement might benefit from hearing my thoughts on what is helpful to know when approaching a personal statement. I'm gonna go over 5 tips when you are writing a personal statement and some things to think about just to kind of guide you. Because a lot of times on these applications, whether it's for college, med school, residency, fellowship, whatever, they basically just have you write a personal statement and give you free reign to talk about whatever you want to say. In one area in the application where you can sort of distinguish yourself and give a character to your application. Because you have to think, when med schools, when colleges, when residencies are looking at applications, a lot of people look really good on paper. You've got people with 4.0 GPAs, people that have gotten honors in their med school classes, you know, the 250 step scores, whatever. Personal statement is your one chance to kind of give them a colorful insight to who you are as a person. And so it's your chance to stand out. Now there's 2 philosophies, I think, to writing a personal statement. The one is to just keep it middle of the road, keep it bland in a way, just so that you don't hurt your chances of getting an interview or getting an acceptance to whatever program by writing something that's too off the wall, trying to be too creative with it. That's one approach. But I think if you can do it right, you can actually kind of distinguish yourself by showing your character through this personal statement. So I want to go over 5 tips, 5 things to consider when you're writing this personal statement for whatever level it may be, because I think this applies to all the personal statements. Now, whatever you're applying to, you're going to want to gear your personal statement toward that in a way, but the key underlying principles of what you're trying to accomplish with the personal statement are pretty much the same for whatever you're writing it for. So let's get into the 5 tips when you're writing your personal statement. So number 1, and this is probably one of the most important, is you want to evoke an emotion in your reader. You want to evoke feelings in your reader. You don't just want them to read it and throw it in a pile and not have really felt anything or remember it. They're not probably going to remember everything you said in a personal statement, but they're probably going to remember how they felt when they finished reading it. And if they didn't feel anything, they're not going to remember it at all. So one of your goals with the personal statement is to try to evoke some sort of emotions in the reader. And that's really true for any writing. If you want it to be powerful, if you want it to be meaningful, then you need to evoke emotion in the reader. One way to do this is with tip number 2. Tell a story. People like stories. It's simply a fact. You're sitting in a coffee shop, you're sitting out anywhere, and you overhear somebody telling a story, you're immediately keyed in on it. For whatever reason, we are programmed as humans to like stories. We are engaged when we hear somebody telling a narrative, a tale. So that's what you should do with your essay. You should tell a narrative of you, basically. It doesn't need to be, oh, I was born here, and then I did this, and then I did this, and then I went to school here, and now I'm applying to your program, please let me in. That's not what it is. You are telling a story of you, and the goal of your narrative, of your story, is not to list facts, not to list like a timeline of events necessarily, but to kind of portray who you are as a person through your narrative. You can tell like where you went to high school, where you went to college. Tell meaningful stories, things that actually had an impact on you in those circumstances and that led you to become the person you are today and that led you to want to apply to whatever program you're applying to. The one option you have is just to say that you want to match, to apply, to get into whatever program you want in declarative sentence. That's weak. You shouldn't do that. The next step is to say why you want to do it. Not just to say that you want to do it. You say, I want to go to your program. This is why I want to go to it. That's a little better, but it's even better if you can actually tell a story around that. I did this, it led me to think this, and then I got involved in this, and that changed my thinking in this way, and that's what's led me to want to apply to your program, to get into your program. And because of those experiences, that's why I think I would be a good fit for it. The reader wants to hear a story, they will engage with the story. Tell a compelling story that will make the reader want you at their program and that will show why you should be there. That's tip number 2. Base the structure of the personal statement around a narrative of who you are and why you want to be at the program. Number 3 is that you want to paint a picture of yourself. Now, you're only going to have maybe a page to do this in an essay, but your goal here is for your reader to have a mental image of who you are as a person. If you've ever read nonfiction, it doesn't take long into a book, maybe a few pages, before you have a mental image of who that author is. You can imagine what they look like if you've never seen them. You can imagine things they would say. You can imagine what it would be like to have a conversation with them. And you even can kind of maybe start to infer what some of their values might be. If they're a good writer, a good storyteller, and they capture your attention quickly, you form a mental image of that person very quickly, and that is what your goal is with this personal statement. You want your reader, you want the admissions committee to have a mental image of who you are, and you want that to come through in a good light. So you want to paint a good picture of yourself with this essay. So what I'd recommend doing is, after you've written the essay, give it to someone, maybe a friend, but maybe even better, someone you don't know that well, like a colleague who maybe doesn't know you all that well as a person. Let them read it and then ask them, after reading it, do you have a good mental image of who I am, what my values are, and does that come off in a good light? I'd recommend doing that to somebody that you maybe don't know as well, because if they already know you very well, they're gonna have preformed kind of conception of who you are as a person. So go find somebody whose opinion you can value, but maybe doesn't know you that well. So whether that be a lit professor in college, or maybe your pre-med advisor, or a teacher who you know will give you a good opinion but doesn't necessarily know you all that well as a person, let them read it and ask them if they feel like they know who you are from that essay. That's what you're trying to communicate with the personal statement. All right, the number 4 tip I have is to be honest in this. I feel like there's a tendency for college applicants, for med students, people applying for residency, they very much try to tailor what they're saying to what they think the admissions committee or whoever is reading their essay wants to hear, and I think that that's not a good way to go about it. The reader can tell if you're being honest in what you're saying and if you believe what you're saying in your writing. It's easy to tell. Don't try to hide what you're actually thinking, actually feeling in an essay by writing what you think that the admissions committee wants to hear, because I guarantee you they're going to know. It comes through. Just like if you're talking to somebody, if you feel like they're being insincere, you can tell. And just like that can shine through in person, through body language, whatever, it shines through in writing too. You can tell when someone's being honest in their writing. When someone is being honest, when they are showing you who they really are in their writing, it's compelling, it's powerful, and it's inspiring. So you want to come off that way. You want to say what you're thinking. Be honest about why you want to do this. Don't try to lie. Don't try to tell admissions committees what you think they want to hear. Be truthful to yourself and what you're writing, and it will come off in your essay. Number 5 is that you need to capture the reader's attention in the first couple sentences of the essay, definitely by the first paragraph. You don't want your reader to finish the first paragraph and be thinking, oh my God, I have to read 3 more paragraphs. I have to read another 3/4 of a page of this person droning on. I have no interest in doing it. Because don't just fall back on the notion that they are gonna read your entire essay. You don't wanna be so boring in your first paragraph that nobody wants to go on. You want the reader to finish that first paragraph, to finish those first couple sentences, and want to know more about who you are as a person. So grab their attention. We're very well acquainted with social media now, and the whole thing with social media, with YouTube videos, with Instagram, is to try to capture people's attention with the thumbnail, with the first couple lines of the video. Look at this video. I gave you a value proposition in the first few seconds of this video. I told you what we're gonna talk about. You know who it's gonna apply to. And so if that is you, if you're someone who's writing a personal statement, you're wanting to get into college, med school, residency, fellowship, whatever, then right in the beginning of that video, I've given you the value proposition. You know what to expect from this video. You know what value it could potentially add to your life and to your career, whatever. So do the same thing with your essay. Show the reader in your essay the potential value that they're gonna get by continuing to read it. Make them want to read it. The question you want in your reader's mind when they finish that first paragraph of your essay is, oh my God, this could be somebody we really need. I have to finish reading this. I really want to know more about this person. If you read your own first paragraph and you don't get that impression, or someone you let read your essay does not get that impression, then rewrite the first paragraph. Rewrite the first few sentences. Capture the reader's attention in the first couple sentences. That is your goal. You need to do that. You have to do that. You want to hook them because the rest of your essay is going to be compelling. You're going to tell them a narrative. You're going to give them an idea of who you are as a person, and you're going to share your values in the rest of this essay, and you're going to show how that aligns with what what they want in an applicant. So hook them in the beginning. Show them the value that you're gonna offer right from the beginning of the essay. Guys, those are the 5 most important things I think to consider when you're writing a personal statement. There's a lot more technical things that go into writing a good personal statement, and a lot of that centers around how you structure it. So like I said, you wanna have a good paragraph at the beginning that kind of hooks the reader, gets them interested. And what I'll do in my personal statements is go ahead and start the narrative in that first paragraph. In the next 2 to 3 paragraphs, I'm gonna weave a narrative. I'm gonna tell about who I am and why my values align with wanting to get into whatever program, do whatever I'm trying to get into, whatever I'm writing the personal statement for. The next 2 to 3 paragraphs are gonna be like a body paragraph that are gonna show through narrative, through emotion, why I want to do that. And my ultimate goal is to show the reader why they need me in that position. Because again, you need to show value to the reader. It's not just about what you want to gain, it's what they can gain. Show them what you have to offer. That's super important. So that's kind of maybe how I'll structure the next few paragraphs. And then when I get to the conclusion, the last paragraph, I'm going to wrap it up. And I hope to convey to the reader in that last paragraph why they need me in the program as well. And I always like to end the personal statement with a very powerful last sentence. Something that leaves a good impression, something that's very punchy and kind of to the point, and that just kind of drives the whole thing home. So that last sentence is very important in my opinion. As far as writing it well and good grammar, just a few other tips. After you've written the whole essay, read it out loud. Actually verbally say it out loud and listen to yourself saying it. And if it sounds wrong, if it doesn't sound good, rewrite it. We all think that liquid gold is flowing out of our pens when we write something, but that is not the case. You need to write it, you need to rewrite it, and then rewrite the rewrite. Because the more times you do it, the better it's gonna get. Have people read it for you, have people proofread it. If you're getting ready to write a personal statement, I would recommend this book on writing well. Very well written, and it really gets to the heart of what makes good writing, at least in the opinion of this author, which I agree with on a lot of points. Key points to this book also is that it helps you make it more concise. We have a tendency to think that writing in very wordy, very long, very big compound sentences makes our writing better, it's more flashy, but there is a beauty in writing concise and clearly, and getting a message across and doing it very clearly and very simply. There's something that's very beautiful in that style of writing, and this book kind of speaks to that. So try to do that. Try not to be too wordy. You're not gonna impress anybody with your vocabulary in these essays or your ability to write huge, long, multiple compound sentences. Write clearly, write concisely in these things. Guys, these are just my opinions. I just want you to tell a story, to evoke an emotion, to be honest, and to show who you are as a person in this essay, and to have the reader want to get to know you better and to offer you the interview. These are just some things to think about when you're writing your personal statement. I hope you found that helpful. If you did, leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel. I'm Zach with Dr. Eyeball MD, and I'll see you guys in the next one.